Hello, I'm Jimmy Leppink. I'm a psychologist and statistician. I've been in the education research industry for about 15 years now, have published quite a bit since I started, and continue to get published. As we speak, I have about 160 peer reviewed publications in the form of journal articles and book chapters, of which nearly 110 as first author, mostly in English, although in recent years also in Spanish. So, anyone who has ever written an article or book chapter or is currently engaging in that activity for the first time in their career will know what a struggle academic writing can be. Long writing sessions, staring at the screen for hours, getting frustrated, more screen staring, and little progress in a long time. So in this video, I provide 3 key tips for a more effective and more efficient academic writing, hoping they will help you on your journey to get your work published as they help me. The first tip that I am going to share may actually surprise you. Yes, almost any article or book chapter will start with an abstract, yet that is what many people leave for the end. I used to do exactly that, and many experiences of getting lost in my thoughts when trying to write that introduction or discussion section were the result. So, after about 10 publications or so, I decided to start to try working the other way around. For one simple reason: to have clear for myself what on earth I wanted to convey to the audience. An abstract usually is about 200, well, between 200 and 300 words really. In some journals or books, slightly longer, usually of the size of 200 to 300 words. The rationale behind starting with the abstract, knowing that probably you will revise and edit it once you have your manuscript ready, is that the exercise of writing a first draft of the abstract forces you to formulate within that limited space of 200 to 300 words what you want to share with your audience. Once you have that message clear, you may find it easier to structure that introduction and discussion section of your manuscript. In other words, as long as we are not capable of telling to ourselves in a first draft of the abstract what it is that we want to convey to our audience, getting lost on your journey towards the end of that manuscript is much more likely. Second tip: space. And with space, I refer to two basic things. Physical space and temporal space. On the one hand, physical space is about looking for or otherwise creating an environment that facilitates your writing journey. For some people, this may be in their office at work. For others, this may be in their office at home. Or if the weather allows for it, even in the garden. There is no magical solution that works for everyone, but if your office at work or at home is a place in which temperature, for example, is difficult to regulate, and hence in winter you freeze and in summer you boil, you are not very likely to be productive. At the same time, if there are too many distractors in the form of noise or another device connected to social media, for example, you may face important disruption as well. Next, temporal space is about spacing your writing activity. Writing is not just about production from 9 to 5, but is a creative process. And we know that one way to stimulate our creativity is to know when to take breaks. So when I write, I take two kinds of breaks. First, every 90 or 120 minutes at most, I stand up, stretch a bit, make a tea, perhaps even go for a short walk and return. Second, I tend to block time for writing on different days in a week. Both help to get back to that manuscript with a bit more of a fresh mind than when you left it. And it is often after breaks that we have the kind of light bulb ideas that we simply just don't have when sitting and staring at the screen for hours. And finally, feedback. Super important. Get feedback. Now, in many fields, academic publications are the results of teams of authors. So getting input and feedback from co-authors should be a natural part of the process of getting that manuscript done. However, if you are unlucky that you don't have co-authors, or occasionally perhaps you do have co-authors, but they are not very generous with their contributions, you may want to get feedback from a critical friend. Of course, very important, whenever you write in a team, you must always explicitly acquire permission from all co-authors before you share your manuscript with anyone else, even if it's just for feedback. But getting feedback can be what helps your manuscript to the next level. The longer we work on a manuscript, the more likely we become blind to some weak spots in the manuscript, and this is where a critical friend can help. Also, questions from such a critical friend may very well help to avoid or at least seriously reduce the likelihood of difficult questions in the journal's or editorial's peer review process, creating more work later on. Asking for feedback is not a sign of weakness but a sign of strength. No one knows it all, and there are many different ways of sharing ideas or findings. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you find these tips useful. But if you still struggle with that manuscript or have any suggestions for future videos on this topic, just leave a comment below this video or get in touch via the email address that I have left under this video. Thank you very much for listening and see you soon.